So I'm totally not a fan of Avatar. I have this like big shirt that I got. I freaking have an Aang Funko Pop. I've got these two comics that take place after the series. I've got Legacy of the Fire Nation graphic novel. I haven't read it yet, but I have this Rise of the Kyoshi book. Have yet to read it, and then I have Legend of Korra sequel series, and of course I freaking have the Steelbook of Avatar. So yeah, I'm totally not a fan. So Avatar: The Last Airbender is a show that aired on Nickelodeon and stars a lot of different people, and it's a show that has like affected me quite a bit in the sense that it has really inspired me to become a writer. It's one of those shows that like everybody's got like their movie, or like around the Christmas time they have that movie, like they have to watch Home Alone around the holidays, or someone's got like every year I watch like Alien or something. Well, Avatar is that show for me. I always watch Avatar at least once, sometimes twice a year. That's just how I roll. That is my thing. This show is like really, really, really good. And I don't want to overhype it, but like this is one of those shows where like I look at this and I'm like, I hope I can make something as good as you, maybe better, but at least as good. I'd like to make a show that's at least good as you. It's one of those shows that whenever I have like a family member or like a friend or somebody that I know, and they say, what's this Avatar you're talking about? I've never seen it. I'm like, okay, you've got to check it out, and then I'll like recommend the show to them. Like I have like a spare DVD that I might give them or something like that, or like find a place to like they've got to see it. So of course, seeing Avatar being number one on Netflix like a couple months ago was crazy insane, and I was so excited to see that many people were like so excited about the show all over again. And I saw so many videos of people reacting like to the show for the first time, and there's like key moments that I would look up like a big moment of the show, and I would look it up and see how they reacted, and it was fun to me to see all those different people react to the show and have such joy, or like being really terrified for a character or something. Like it was really, really cool for me. But this show does a really good job of setting up this world and these characters. Like in the intro, it displays the 100-Year War. Like there's a war that has been going on in this world for 100 years. Can you imagine a war for 100 years? It's kind of like no, we've never had anything that's gone that long in terms of like warfare or anything like that. At least that I can recall. But that's just crazy. And the show does a really, really good job of showing these characters and how their lives have been throughout this entire period. So the pilot is actually pretty good. I recommend watching the first two episodes actually. So you have the pilot, and then I think that the second episode is actually a pretty good companion piece to the first two episodes. It's actually quite good. If you watch them back to back, it feels like a good pilot, because the end of the second episode starts their journey. Now, I would recommend don't go into the show having high expectations for like nothing like Attack on Titan where like it goes straight into the action. The first season is a very, very simple season. It is just our characters and them going on a journey and going from town to town, place to place, and meeting people and getting to know how this world works. It's not, big like holy crap, gotta get straight to the plot. This is very, very simple. And as the show goes along, it starts to build. Now, if you have a hard time getting into the show, what I recommend doing is keep going until you get to episode 12, called The Storm. Now, this is where I felt the show really, really picks up steam. This episode is where we see our main character and our villain and the parallels between the two characters. We have both characters who have this past, and we learn about their past. And when we learn about the past, we see like how both of them have this past they're trying to run away from, but at the same time it keeps catching up with them, and they have to overcome that. And it's very, very interesting, and it creates a very good dynamic between this, and it really takes a nice turn and gives a nice twist to the story that this show is trying to tell. Now, a lot of people say that this season, the first season, is a weak season. I wouldn't say the first season is like a weak season. It's just slow, because like I said before, it's just our main characters going on a journey, going from town to town. And when that happens, a lot of people sometimes they'll look at the other seasons and go, oh, like those are so great for character development and storytelling. That's great, but this first season I think is just slower paced than the other two seasons are. But it's still a good season, and it's helping you get it's helping you learn about this world and everything before it gets to like all the crazy stuff and everything. Now, I would say there is one episode that I would recommend skipping, and that is The Great Divide, which I believe is episode 11, which is right before The Storm, which is a great episode. The Great Divide, I think is actually the one episode out of the entire series that I would that I would say is probably like a bad episode. Even the writers kind of make fun of that episode and how bad it is. Like you can really tell that it's just not a great episode. I would recommend skipping that one. I think it goes against the characters and it doesn't really do much for the plot. It kind of just it's this thing that's like over in the corner and it's doing its own thing. It's not great. So I recommend skipping that episode. Other than that, the first season is really 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 solid. Mild spoilers, nothing major. But there is one episode that's a personal preference for me that I don't particularly care for. That's the I don't know what episode number it was, but it was Bato of the Water Tribe is the name of the episode, and that episode is it's okay. It feels like a lie revealed type of story, and I'm not a huge fan of that kind of storytelling. But it does it okay. It's like the best I've seen that plotline done. I would skip it, but it's one of those things where it's like it introduces a character that comes back, and there's like some story threads that do they're small, but they do come back later. So it is important to watch that episode. But for me is a weak episode. Other than that, the show is great. I'm gonna give Avatar: The Last Airbender season 1 an 8 out of 10. If it wasn't for those other episodes, those two weaker episodes, I would give it like a 9 out of 10 or even a 10 out of 10. But it's one of those things where it's just like it's okay. It's a slow but great first season, but it's just getting used to the characters. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this first review that I have done on this channel. I'm very very excited to continue, and I'm very very excited to talk about this show. This is one of my favorite shows, as you can tell. I'm a pretty big fan of the show, and I have like all this merch and everything. So like I'm a pretty big fan of the show, and not just because I'm a nerd. Like I genuinely like this show, and it's a big inspiration to me as a writer. So hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.